caught in the miasma of gambling, Yudhishthira lost not only his kingdom, but he also wagered and lost his brothers and the most important character of all, the wife Draupadi. She was born of fire. And it was said when she was born, there was a prophecy, an invisible voice that had said that this fair maiden, this fair slender-waisted maiden, has as her destiny to strike fear into the hearts of Kauravas and bring about the end of evil and set the stage for the dawning of the lower age. By some quirk of fate and with the hand of God, Draupadi was the wife of all the 5 Pandavas. And Yudhishthira had wagered her as well and lost her. And she was dragged into open court and almost disrobed and humiliated in front of everyone, except with the power of Krishna, who stopped this from happening. He created an infinite sari so that her modesty was preserved and Draupadi was saved. But Bhishma spoke up and said, Yudhishthira, you have to pay for your sin of gambling, so I hereby banish you to the forest for 13 years. You have to stay far away. You just cannot go to the outskirts, to the suburbs, and kind of call it a forest and be done with it. You have to go into the deep, dark forest so that nobody will see you. I will banish you there. And 13 years later, he looks at Duryodhana and says, you shall give back the kingdom that you took from them. This is the story so far. Now, the Pandavas prepare to go into exile. Now let's examine them. Like I said, Mahabharata makes sense when you put yourself in the place of the characters and ask yourself, what would I do? What would you do? You're Yudhishthira. You're banished into the forest. You've been humiliated. You have regret inside of you. You have shame. But you also have the powerful Bhima and Arjuna who could perhaps single-handedly destroy all the Kauravas. What would you do? Wouldn't you take revenge? Perhaps. The thought did cross Yudhishthira's mind. In fact, Bhima said, right there, he said, I am going to pledge to kill the evil Duryodhana and the evil Dushasana. And Arjuna, shaking with war lust, said, I will kill Karna. And they were ready. But Yudhishthira said, no, we have to pay the price of what we did. And Draupadi looked at him with tear-filled eyes and she says, how can you be so weak? Do you not care for what I have gone through? And rightfully so. Yudhishthira had no answer. His regret and shame increased. But he still had to do what he had to do. So he prepares to go into exile. Meanwhile, the citizens of this great kingdom, they are dissatisfied. They feel that their own property is in danger. They think, if Duryodhana and Karna and Shakuni can take away the property of great Yudhishthira, take away his kingdom, will they not take away my property? So they go to Yudhishthira. They form a contingent and go to Yudhishthira, a representation. And they tell him, Yudhishthira, you have to take us with you. If you are going into the forest, let's make the forest into a kingdom. It's after all the people that make a kingdom, not wealth. We will create wealth. We will go with you. And Yudhishthira said, no, that really wouldn't qualify as an exile, will it? I have to pay for what I did. He's still not sure about this, but he knows somewhere. He may not always know why, but he always knows what. He knows still what the right thing to do is. So he bows to them and he says, please, my mother is there. Please make sure that she is okay. Bhishma, the elderly Bhishma who has taken care of all of you like his own children, he is there. Make sure he is okay. He deserves your loyalty. Our teacher Dronacharya is there. Go take care of them. I will be back after 13 years, have no doubt. But let's not jump the gun and do something we all regret. So he sends them back. But still it's with mixed emotions. Yudhishthira is not sure, and he cannot, whenever he sees the hair of Draupadi, ever since it was dragged in open court, her hair was uncombed and it was disheveled, and Draupadi has left it exactly like that. this beautiful princess, she of the disheveled hair. And whenever he sees it, his heart breaks, but he doesn't know what to do. And then he has a more immediate practical problem to deal with. There are a few Brahmins, they are priests and scholars, that he has to take, that is part of what you do. The Brahmins, they say, we are already renunciants. We have already dedicated our lives to God. Forest or city doesn't make any difference to us. We will come with you. You cannot say no to us. It's your duty as a king. So they also come. Now Yudhishthira has an immediate practical problem. What do you think that problem is? If you were a king that was exiled into a forest, that's never happened to me, perhaps not to you, I'm guessing, but if it were, and a bunch of people said, I want to come with you, what's your immediate problem? Feeding them, of course. So he doesn't know how to feed himself, and if you have the strength of 10,000 elephants, you eat accordingly, right? So Bhima needs a lot of food. Arjuna, the other two Pandavas, Draupadi, and all these Brahmins, they all need food. So he doesn't know. So Yudhishthira begins to think, where do I give? Who gives anybody food? And says, is it the earth? Yeah, earth gives me food. It gives all of us food. But then it needs rain, doesn't it? The rain gives me food. And he says, no, but that still doesn't complete the equation. Without sun, there is no rain. Without rain, the earth's bounty cannot be unlocked. So he says, the source of all food is the sun. So let me go pray to the sun. Remember I told you in both last time and the time before that when Sahayagya Prajasrishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi, so in the moment of creation, when he created you, me, trees, birds, and everything, all of our instincts are to go outside, take something, add it to our possessions, use up the energy. He also created in all living beings the innate ability to offer ourselves and say, I don't want it, you have it. This is called yagya. Okay? So he said, the creator said, use yagya. When you want something, don't take it, but instead give something. And when you give with a pure heart, what you want shall come to you. So there is neither greed nor pride of possession. And in this way, he said, use this as the wish-fulfilling tree. You only need to ask with a pure heart. So Yudhishthira knows all this. So he wants something from the sun, the gift of food. So what does he say? He says, I will give up my food. I will give up my water. I will offer this to you, O Lord of the universe, O giver of light, sun. And day after day, he stands there worshipping the sun with a pure heart, giving up food. And then after many days, the radiant sun takes the radiant form of a human being and comes in front of Yudhishthira and says, I have heard your prayers, O King of Dharma. And he manifests a copper plate in his hand and he gives it to Yudhishthira. It's a big plate. And he says, this plate, when you put a morsel of anything on it, this plate will magnify it. It will be filled with the choicest of foods. And you keep serving it to 5, 10, 100 people, doesn't matter. It will never empty itself until the great Draupadi, her stomach is full. The moment Draupadi's stomach is full, this plate will empty itself. So he gives this. This is called a Akshaya Patra. Akshaya means undiminishing. Patra means just a vessel. Oh, this vessel of infinite food, he gives it to Yudhishthira. And so that night, they all go back. They've already moved into the forest far away from the city, and they don't have much. So whatever the Brahmins have gotten by seeking alms from here and there, Draupadi puts it, cooks a few grains of rice, and then she puts it in the plate, and it becomes full of the choicest of dishes. And Yudhishthira takes the plates, first feeds it to all the Brahmins and the yogis that are sitting there. Once they are full, he feeds it to his brothers. And for some of them, he's such an affectionate brother that for some of them, he feeds it himself, like he was feeding a child. Until they, are you full? He asks. I say, yes, yes, brother, now you eat. Let Draupadi eat. And then Draupadi and Yudhishthira eat at the same time. And then Draupadi waits. Such is her attunement to Yudhishthira that she knows when Yudhishthira is full. Until then, she keeps a little bit of hunger saved within herself. And once Yudhishthira is full, she eats the last morsel, and the plate empties itself, magically cleans itself, and sits shining on the altar to be called the next day. And so begins the exile of Yudhishthira and the Pandavas and Draupadi. But their mind is still in turmoil. They just, there is anger, there is fear, there is regret, and within Draupadi is a fire that she just cannot get control of. And they are sitting there talking within a small forest hermitage one day. All the Pandavas and Draupadi, they are talking amongst each other. And then suddenly, it's as if in their center, it was a gathering not unlike this. And imagine that right in the center, there is a flash of lightning. It's as if there is a flash of lightning. And from within that light emerges the form of none other than Vyasa himself. Remember Vyasa, we begin every narration with invocation to Vyasa. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Invoking, bowing to the name of Vyasa, I will now proceed to narrate the story of how good triumphed over evil. This is Vyasa. Now, he say, through long years of great austerities and complete utter disregard for his body, he had an emaciated frame. He had copper-colored, matted hair, and he was tall. And Vyasa, the thing you should know about Vyasa is he literally knew everything there is to know. Quite literally, absolutely everything there is to know. He was an immortal, and it is said that he's still living among us, and he absolutely knew everything there was to know. He was a self-realized being who had incarnated to codify the knowledge for the dark ages that was upcoming, that was just a few decades away. In fact, in the Indian tradition, every single book, every single scripture that you read today, whether it's the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavatam, whatever it might be, all of them were written down and codified by Vyasa. So the Pandavas and Draupadi worship him with fear mingled with devotion, because they know that when Vyasa decides to come amongst you, he's about to tell you something that's very good for you, but you're almost guaranteed not to like. Okay? So they fear mingled with devotion, they worship him. And then Vyasa sits down and he says, Yudhishthira, Pandavas, Draupadi, don't look at this as a showdown within a single dynasty. That's not what is trying to happen here. Something far bigger is going on. The rock of the ages is shifting. Dwapara Yuga, the higher age, is about to give way to Kali Yuga, the lower age. And when this shifting in ages happen, there needs to be a purification. The earth needs to reset herself. So when you need to move a big rock, Vyasa goes on to say, in his beautiful poetic style, he says, when you need to move a big rock, you have a smaller rock and you put a crowbar or a pry bar and you use that as a lever to move the big rock, do you not? And they all nod. Yes, sir, that's how it's done. I've done it myself, Bhima says, although I can just pick up the rock and throw it. Bhima says, that's not the point, listen to me. So you need the smaller rock. And he says, when the rock of the ages needs to be moved, God chooses a few people to bear the weight of the pry bar that is used as a lever to move it. God has chosen all of you. You will suffer as a result of it, but only the strong can suffer, not the weak. So don't look at this as a little dynastic struggle. This is not about revenge. You are being used as the instruments to eliminate the evil that is Duryodhana and Shakuni and Karna and Dushasana and all the others. And he looks at Yudhishthira and he says, you need to become stronger. How? You are disturbed by restlessness and regrets. Let go of it. Look at the larger trajectory of karma. What you did was inevitable. Learn from it, move past it, grow in strength, because you need to be, everybody will look to you for guidance when the rock of the ages is going to be moved. And then he looks at Bhima. He says, you have the strength of 10,000 elephants, but your anger is making you weak. Strength is useless if it's dissipated by anger. Oh, he says, learn self-control. Take it in. Open your heart in devotion. Devotion and emotion come from the same place. You are already a blessed soul. So open your heart in devotion. Prepare to move the rock of the ages, because a big weight will rest upon you. And then he looks at Nakula and Sahadeva, the other two, the twins who are the other two brothers. He says, you are the foundation on which Arjuna, Bhima and Yudhishthira will do their great work. Use your wisdom, Sahadeva. Use your optimism and creativity, Nakula. Help them when they face troubles. And then he looks at Draupadi, says, my daughter, are you not the daughter of fire? Are you not the gift of fire? Fire will burn through everything if it is unrestrained. But your destiny, your job, why you have been incarnated, is to burn only evil, not good. So restrain your fire. Get beyond whatever anger, humiliation and shame that you might feel. Justified though they are, destiny demands that you transcend it. And that way you can increase your strength. Your time will come. It is through you that evil will be burned, never to grow again. It will be burned to the roots. And then finally he looks at Arjuna and says, Arjuna, you are already strong. You are already powerful. But your mind still has some restlessness. There is still some pride left in you. You need the great Pashupata weapon from the great God Shiva himself. It is between Shiva and Krishna that the new age will be ushered. So he points to the north, towards the snow-covered peaks. Says, go into the Himalayas. There is a place there called Indrakila. Go there. Perform austerities to God Shiva. Not just that. It is said that when the Creator created the universe, he appointed protectors for each of the 4 directions. In the north, the protector was Kubera. And what his elemental power, his gift, was prosperity, both material but even more importantly, spiritual prosperity. Think about spiritual prosperity, what it means for you. Whatever it means for you is what it means for you. If your spiritual prosperity, if it was bountiful, if your spirituality was bountiful, what couldn't you achieve? So he says, seek the blessings of Kubera from the north. And then in the west is Yama. He is the god of all morality. It is through his power that you will know what is right and wrong, because you will be wielding great weapons and you will have to make judgment calls in the heat of the battle, whether this is to be used or not. So you seek the power of Yama. And then to the south is Varuna, the lord of the underworld. Underworld in this case means the power of all esoteric arts, all the great mantras that you know, they are powered by Varuna's elemental force. Ask him. And finally, in the east is where actual strength, actual power to achieve anything, the power of Vajra, the power of the spine, they all lie in the east. And its guardian is Indra, who is the king of all gods. So go to Indrakila, worship Shiva, please him, and get the powers of all of the guardians of the four directions. And saying that, Vyasa vanishes from among their gathering. Vyasa's words resonate through the heart of each Pandava and through Draupadi. And this turmoil that they felt all these days of simply dwelling on the unfairness of what happened to them without seeing it in the larger trajectory of time and karma and destiny, that with that perspective, they now know that it's not about revenge, but it is about eliminating evil. The act is the same, whether it's revenge or eliminating evil, it's exactly the same. But the intent is entirely different. And with the purification of intent comes the peace of mind. So Pandavas are now peaceful, they settle into their life. And after a few days, Draupadi comes to Arjuna and she says, Arjuna, my beloved, remember the words of Vyasa. You have to go north into the great Himalayas, go into the Indrakila mountain, acquire all the powers that you need to, because the sooner you will be able to incinerate the evil Duryodhana and Dushasana and Shakuni and Karna, the sooner the fire within me will be extinguished.